Hope everybody's having a good night. Welcome into the Fallout Shelter. We are in the middle of a huge experiment. These are articles from physics.org. This is the science community. They also have medical and business community. I really love this website. Usually the news that comes out here, if you do see it in the mainstream, it's usually buried later because it's almost like they use this toying with people because they know we don't read it. This came out on March the 18th. I want you to pay attention. It's a picture of a woman wearing a mask holding toilet paper. And it says, "Will people do as they're told?" I'm going to take a sip of coffee because I don't really know what to say. Look, I believe that COVID-19 is basically brought about for Experiment 20, which will be the intro into the final nail of Agenda 21. The UK government is currently asking people to limit non-essential contact travel, blah, 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 the same thing from all over the world. What does behavioral science tell us about whether people comply with measures that are not compulsory? I agree. That's what I was saying. The toilet paper, they tricked everybody into buying the toilet paper because they were feeding them a line of crap. Now listen, I'm not going to say that there's not a real cold going around. It goes around every year. And from what I can tell, if I'm looking at the numbers from viruses that attack people's immune systems and exploit their illnesses they already have that they die from, we're actually having a pretty good year. Number-wise, I'm just saying number-wise. Don't get me in my words, because we are definitely in the middle of a huge pandemic, and it's called this right here, propaganda machine that we used to call the news. What does behavioral science tell us about people complying with measures that are not compulsory? If you appeal to people's sense of doing the right thing, they tend to do it. Pay attention, y'all. This is them with your mind. If you appeal to people's sense of doing the right thing, she's a behavioral economics research from non-pandemic context suggests that making behaviors a moral duty will be effective. A moral duty. You know, kind of like getting your kids stuck in the arm every year that goes by and there's something new. And now you and your grandparents and your dog and your cat, and you're going to have to vaccinate your cows or you're not going to be able to have any meat from them. Oh, well, don't worry. We've already took care of that. We flooded them out, washed them down the rivers. We burnt the rest that were left because, I don't know, they might have had a cold. And now we're just going to grow it all in a lab and you don't got to worry about it. I'm telling you how I feel about this, with it affecting my life greatly. My mother lives in an assisted living facility, and she had an accident the other day that she had to go get a couple of stitches for. Well, now she's been to the hospital, which puts her in quarantine where she lives. Well, I work around people. I can't go around there. Her normal personal assistant also works around people in her other job. They can't go around it. When I picked her up from the hospital, there was no rush. There was no craziness. There was no masks. There were no gloves. The nurse walked her out of the hospital. No gloves, no mask. Helped me get her up in the truck. I looked at her and I said, "What, y'all aren't scared that the coronavirus was going to get everybody?" She said, "Honey, I've been battling the common cold for 20 years, and people that are old die every year. It's no different. People are making a big deal out of nothing." And I said, "Okay, cool. Well, thank you." Here's part of the experiment right here. Is this the moment for universal basic income? Let me tell you something. If you think Mr. Trump is the one who's going to fix all of this, and you think that Bernie Sanders and a crazy Cortez are nutbags for introducing socialism and free everything, and there's no way they can do that, and you're praising Trump for the job he's doing right now, well, let me tell you, you are a conservative sheep backing the man that is going to introduce socialism to the United States of America because he's the great actor that he is. Push it down people's throats, and when the conservatives take it, It's because they buy, I guess they drink the Kool-Aid, you know what I mean? Universal basic income, a concept that will give all members of society an unconditional guaranteed cash payment, has received limited attention among U.S. policymakers. Well, now we've passed that and we have all types of crazy stuff in that budget that has absolutely nothing to do with even sending you money. We're going to bail out all the companies. We're going to bail out all of the airlines. We're going to bail out everything. But we're also going to bail out all these little obscure things that have absolutely nothing to do with this. Let me tell you, a bailout of any kind is socialism. If you take this check, and I know most people are going to, and I know a lot of people are going to and never say they did, talk about how bad it was while it deposited in their account. But if you take this check, you buy into the fact that you can't take care of yourself. If you've been a truther, a realist, a news person for any amount of time, and you've known about Agenda 21, you've all known this was coming. It's sustainability. It's about energy. It's about control. It's about the power. And it's about money in the end, because the sustainability is about profit over what's actually going out. The thing about energy is you have to get more coming out than you do coming in. If they can put us into these cities, that's more control they have over all of the other land that allows them to do everything they want to do with it. Ventilator, Great Awakening in the Gematria calculator. I have no idea what that is. I'm not that smart on the Gematria. What else do we got? All of these links from physics.org are in the description. Coronavirus fallout revives talk of universal basic income. This is on March 25th. So you got two stories come out about universal basic income on the same day from physics.org. Now, when you go to there, it's under other sciences. So they consider this like social science. The scoffed at idea of paying everyone a basic income as machines take people's jobs is getting a fresh look as a possible remedy for economies cratered by the coronavirus pandemic. Lambasted until recently as too costly or too socialist, paying people for simply being alive and trusting they will be productive as new support as jobs vanish. The massive recovery package being considered in the U.S. Congress to offset the tremendous hit to the economy would move a step closer toward the idea of universal basic income. Okay, that's universal basic income. Look at here, March 23rd. Coronavirus. Rationing based on health, equity, and decency now needed. Food system expert says. Food security is no laughing matter at the best of times, but I gasped when I first read the Department for Environment, Food, and Rural Affairs Annual Food Civil Contingencies Infrastructure Report in 2018. It is barely a page long, in public at least, and assures us everything is okay and the food system is resilient and able to withstand shocks. We all know better than that. We've seen the flooding that took the corn out. We've seen the flooding that took the cows out. We've been knowing that this was coming, and it's all been leading. The pieces of the puzzle that we've all been looking for, the puzzle is Agenda 21, period. The whole puzzle right now is Agenda 21. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, they've missed that. They're headed on to Agenda 30. No, Agenda 21 is right on track. Agenda 30 is already started because they're putting their pieces in place. They're putting their peanut butter and their jelly and their bread in the cabinet. Because after they pull all of this together in 21, 9 years is probably going to be pretty rough when they're trying to do this together. Now, Agenda 2030 is going to be completely about getting a digital ID in everybody over that decade in the world. ID 2020's Real ID, which has been postponed by President Trump in the states it was going to be required in by October 20th because of the coronavirus. The food system is fixing to be tested and shocked. Listen, we're not going to run out of food completely. It's probably going to get expensive, but you can still purchase groceries here with no problem. You can purchase toilet paper in central Mississippi. You can purchase anything else. Now, I know it's different around the rest of the country. I'm not speaking to the rest of the country. I'm speaking to, I don't understand why we aren't being treated exactly like the rest of the country. You get what I'm saying? I don't understand if this is a pandemic, why if it's a pandemic in New Jersey, it's not a pandemic in Mississippi. If it's a pandemic in California, why is it not a pandemic in Alabama? You understand what I'm saying? Why? Or it's because of this. When you start to get ready to lock a place down or be in place to lock a place down, you're going to put pieces in place. I think they thought they would get some pushback here. And let me show you. They use this word over and over and over. A really big experiment. Parent turn teachers in mid-virus. Teachers brave digital classrooms as coronavirus closes schools. See, sustainability is about you taking up less energy and them being able to charge you more of whatever the currency of that time period is for it. Pandemics don't heal divisions, they reveal them. The first thing they do is they show you how this big problem here can separate people. Number one, if we can't come together on something we agree on, we will never be able to have a discussion on something we disagree on. If I meet somebody and the first thing we talk about, we have a horrible disagreement on, we're never going to be friends. But if I meet somebody and we search around and find a common ground, okay, hey, we both like fishing. Okay, what kind of fishing do you like? We talk about fishing for a long time, develop a relationship, and then you can more or less, even if you argue about it, you can argue as friends over it and not leave as enemies. Now, we're supposed to be able to disagree with one another and still be able to learn from it. That's what a conversation is. I'm sure tons of people disagree with me. Luckily, I'm at a point in my life where I don't care. Experiment. Let's see, I showed you how teachers are using technology to keep in touch with students. Online schooling, online college. It hit me. Oh my gosh, I know how the socialists are going to give school to everybody for free. They're not going to go to school. They're going to do it from home. That's how college is free for everybody. There are no costs inferred for the students going. So, Agenda 21 is sustainability. Remember that. It's about energy. It's about compacting. And it is absolutely about depopulating. Now, but let me show you how they talk about their depopulation. Listen, these articles are in the mainstream news, MSN. I don't have the links up there for them. You can find these articles by clicking on MSN. Who lives and who dies? In worst case coronavirus scenario, ethics guide choice on who gets care. So, remember those death panels that are not going to exist? Remember when your insurance was all turned over to the government and there's never going to be a panel to decide if grandma dies or gets the shot to make her more comfortable or if we give her the treatment? That's not going to exist. This is America. Well, let me tell you what. This is America today. It's a scenario few healthcare leaders want to contemplate, much less discuss. What if the ranks of desperately ill patients overwhelm the nation's ability to care for them? From the cold. From the common cold, people. Coronavirus. And if it's not the cold, then it's not a coronavirus. It's a freaking bioweapon. And they're lying about what the name of it is. How about that? Now, they call it whatever they want. We'll never know. We just have to go off what we can get in information. You know what let me show you two more things, and then I'm going to tell you. I've showed you the news. I've showed you the propaganda. And I'm going to tell you what I think. Opinions. A viral plea to let grandparents sacrifice themselves captures a truth about Trump. Well, they turn that right around and try to make that a political division and a division about grandparents sacrificing a viral plea. Listen to the wording of this. A viral plea to let grandparents sacrifice themselves captures the truth about Trump. Man, this is that crap where they try to put, it's not political. If it was something real and it was a real virus, a real pandemic virus that was spreading like wildfire, we'd all be locked down and the mail would have quit running first and foremost. I keep asking people, hey, do you get your mail? Yeah, do you Lysol it? Well, no, do you know where it's been? It's probably been more places than anywhere else you could have been. But the mail's still running, no problem, up and down the roads. Everybody's getting their bills. Oh! A viral plea to let grandparents sacrifice. Sacrifice. So now you are sacrificing. You are making a difference if you let yourself die. And another one that was along the same lines. Let people die during the coronavirus crisis to save the economy. That's crazy. But yet they print that tag for everybody to see. Now, I'm not going to read these articles, but I will show y'all some. Pink eye may be a rare symptom of coronavirus. How do you have a rare symptom of a virus that just showed up 3 months ago? It's not a rare virus. How do you have rare symptoms of a rare virus? Huh? So now everybody that's got pink eye has got the coronavirus. I got a feeling we'll probably be locked down next week. And if we are, then I'll probably try to do a lot of streaming and I'll finally get to all of my electromagnetic stuff. On the serious note, I think we should all be on the watch out for a big FF. You know, a big false flag. Because ABC News has already put out the warning, a little bit of predictive programming, a little bit of let's go ahead and get the sheeple lined up so that when they see this, it's not a shock. A Department of Homeland Security memo sent to law enforcement officials around the country warns that violent extremists could seek to take advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic by carrying out attacks against the United States. Homeland Security warns terrorists may exploit COVID-19 pandemic. Really? I think ABC's telling us right there to be on the lookout for a terrorist attack of some kind, with a COVID-19, somebody's going to attack us with the common cold, like maybe China. Let me tell y'all, every day I've been going about my life because, well, you have to when you have to. I have children and a wife, so we live every day like our normal life with those little plans in place and adding to those little plans daily and things like that. I've believed Agenda 21 was real since 1992 when they wrote it. I've lived my life knowing about it. Deep in the country because of things like it. Main reason I never went out and ventured into the other places. Kind of like the shelter that's down here in Mississippi. We are very sheltered whether people want to believe it or not. There's a ton that goes on in the world I've learned after coming to YouTube and learning from all of y'all what's going on in places that just don't go on here. Homeland Security, warning about this. I think you probably need to watch out for that one. I think this was a warning. If I'm not mistaken, when it first come up, all the dates and time where it had some numerical content. Bill Gates on the coronavirus, we need to shut down. That was 3 days ago. Dow jumps 1,300 points in biggest 3-day surge since 1931. Look, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of 13s, 3s on that page. You know what I mean? Doctors say loss of sense of smell might be COVID-19 symptom. Because, well, now it just attacks the olfactory glands and makes them not work at all. As the first coronavirus vaccine human trials begin, manufacturer is already preparing to scale production to millions. To millions. FEMA, Defense Production Act, no longer needed to secure thousands of test kits. President Trump called himself a wartime president. And he also has said that he was the president over the war on climate change, I believe, even though he said he didn't agree with climate change, which is probably one of the smarter things he said. Don't even realize why. Well, maybe he does. He might understand about climate control now. Maybe he found out about that. Anyway, said he's a wartime president over this virus. Now, only war has canceled the Olympics. It happened in 1916 in Berlin, 1940 in Tokyo, and London in 1944. Are we at war now? Yeah, elitist issue. I agree kind of with that. And I'm going to tell y'all something else. I'm a poor country boy. Usually when the economy bottoms out and does nuts, if we can survive however long we have to go through the struggle, usually on the other end of it, it's exactly the same for us poor country boys. Now listen, I'm not saying this isn't bad. We're in a position where our country's being locked down and the citizens are inviting it and they're letting the military surround them. And I believe with the experiment that's going on, they're like, really? Nothing? Yeah, there's 4 or 5 people on YouTube that are screaming about this? Well, none of this matters to me, and I'm going to tell you why. A vast and continuous network of facial recognition cameras watching over Moscow. More surveillance. That's absolutely something that comes with this. More surveillance, more boot on the throat. We all know that's coming. No, we're not all going to die from this. We're just going to lose more civil liberty, more freedom, and the way that we live life is going to change forever right now. And I don't mean to be fearful. This isn't a fear tactic. I mean, it's got to be that way. That's the Trump postponing the deadline on the real ID. That's about vaccine stuff. I haven't paid attention to that. Now, India, day one day ago, had the world's largest lockdown. I find it funny that they use the term lockdown. Lockdown is a prison term. By using the term lockdown in the mainstream news, they are desensitizing the people. They are programming the sheep to be prisoners in their own home, willingly. Slaves without chains. Now, I'm hard-headed. I don't consent. I can't do that. I want all of y'all to know, if you're watching and you're not chatting, I go through the news and I go through tech news and I do it kind of without being preachy. At the end, I get a little preachy. I will tell you this. If you have a plan, you're not implementing it, there was no point in you having a plan. I believe that the Father in heaven created everything. My salvation comes from Him through His Son that died on the cross and was resurrected by the Father in heaven. My confidence in going forth every day and sleeping peacefully at night, the peace that I have on a day-to-day comes from that. I think a lot about the parable of the wise and the unwise virgins. The wise virgins, they had oil for their lamps. To me, that is preparing. Now, whether it's oil or whether it's not, you never know what's going to happen. And people say, oh, it's going to start to get bad and Jesus is going to take me out of here. Well, I don't buy into that. Or He wouldn't have said you're going to have tribulations. You're going to go through all this. But we're told to be prepared. We're told to pray to the Father for protection. And no matter how much evil takes over on this planet, the Father in heaven will cover you with the bubble and fill you with the Holy Spirit. All you have to do is ask. That's where my peace comes from. That's where my ability to get up and face the day and go out and deal with that comes from. If I get a virus that attacks my immune system and I die tomorrow, well, same thing could happen when I get in my truck and pull out here to the stop sign if the brakes fail. I had a friend of mine that passed away last week, the ripe old age of, I think, 54, had a heart attack. SHTF for his family that day. There's no guarantee that I'm going to make it through tomorrow, but there's no guarantee that I'm going to die either. There's no guarantee that I'm going to die in a year. There's no guarantee that I'm going to die in 5. But there are guarantees that it's probably going to be some rough times. Okay, y'all ready for this? Charged seed cloud as a method for increasing particle collisions and for scavenging airborne biological agents and other contaminants. It's a patent for chemtrails that pull biologicals out of the air. So that's one thing I'll talk about over there, and we'll play some music, and we'll have our regular intros. Look, I want to tell you all, I appreciate you coming to hang out with me on a Friday night. DLIVE is a gaming platform that's just a lot more fun to stream on than YouTube is, and I don't do it for the views. I don't do it for monetization. I do it to share information and have a good time with my friends, and I have a lot more fun doing it over there, but every once in a while, if I miss YouTube a lot, I come over here and share a bunch of the information I've been finding so I can clear it off my computer. Night, guys. I love you all. Yeah, I'm a contractor as well. I don't know why I'm an essential. We don't have a problem in here yet. I expect us to see it in these counties, rural counties, starting next week. And I tell y'all why. It's because the numbers thing. They start you out with a couple of numbers in a town or a city, and they start shutting places down early. Like, I don't know, viruses can't travel after 9 p.m. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so between 9 and, say, 7 in the morning, the virus shuts down, so we shut down. All right. Now, we open back up in the morning, and we have a lady sitting outside of a business. Let's call it a Best Buy. Okay? And a customer walks up, and they meet you like, and they don't really obey the 6-foot rule, which I don't care. I'm not for the 6-foot rule. I think it's a joke. Anyway, they walk over and they go, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I need a mic." "A what?" I said, "You got a microphone in there I want to buy." I said, "But you got 2 or 3 different ones and I want to pick one out." "Well, you'll have to use the app and pick it, and I'll go in and get it and bring it out to you, and then we'll basically take your card or money back inside, ring it out and bring you your change, and you don't go in the door." And I said, "So you're closed?" "Oh, no, we're not closed." I said, "Yeah, you're closed. I can't go in there and shop." I said, "I want to pick a microphone based on maybe you having a mount in there that I want to use." I said, "And I would choose a different microphone if you had a different mount." I said, "I can't choose all that on the app." I said, "So you're closed to me." He said, "Well, I said, "Look, if I was going to order it online, I would go home, order it online, and have it shipped to my house if I didn't care what I was looking at." I said, "Therefore, if you really seen what was going on, you would realize you're telling everybody to go buy it online, have it shipped to their house, and you won't have a job when all this is over with." And he looked at me and said, "What do you mean?" I said, "If everybody buys online and quits coming into the store, what are you going to do for a living?" "Well, I ain't thought about it." Nobody ever does. You just do what you're told. People do as they're told. Now, in my life, I've had great trouble and tribulation because I will not do as I'm told. Ask my father. Ask my mother. Ask my wife. Ask the cops. I've never been real good at following instructions. I know my Father in heaven was not happy with me for many years. I missed something in chat, but it looks like y'all have a great chat going, so I kind of been staying out of it. Father does not give us a spirit of fear. Those of us, I believe this with all my heart, that go to the Father through Christ, we are the church. It's not in a building, which most of them I'm ashamed of that they're closing. Oh, I have actually paid tons of attention to vaccines. I hadn't paid attention to that article. If you go back and look at my older videos, I actually have material safety data sheets for Thimerosal. If the churches have so much power, I'm really kind of ashamed that they closed their doors so willingly when they were asked, because, I always was told as a child, at what point do you break man's law to follow God's law? And I know that's a hard thing to say. I'm not in the position to make that decision. I'm not over a church. But I did go power wash and pressure wash, and then I clear sealed the bricks on the church that I grew up in. And I seen that preacher, and I asked him, why did they close so easy? And he said, well, we did it for the elderly and things of that nature. And I said, I just don't get it. To him as well. That's easy for me to say when I'm sitting behind a camera talking to a screen and I'm not actually having contact with anybody. But I'm out all day and I have contact, and we're not going by any rules. Now, the day will come here in Mississippi that we will be shut down, probably next week, and we'll be locked down too, and they'll close the boat landing. People won't be able to go fishing. I know it's that way around the country.